G'day everyone, welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'll be Nat, this will be my Knackers Yard. Welcome back. So what are we doing today? I don't really know. It's a bit of a weird one today. It is Coronation Day, so we're having a barbecue. As you can tell, because it's pissing down. I'm probably going to jump in and do little bits on this vid, so it might be a little bit depressing for you. The stator hasn't arrived yet. With 2 bank holidays within 8 days of each other, its post is a bit crap. So I can't do that as yet, and it means blues off the road. What I can do then is try and sort out the brakes. The brake lights. If you remember, I lost them front and rear. It was all working. It was the switch, or it is the switch, particularly at the front. So that is the switch from under the lever itself, and all it is doing is just literally connecting those 2 spikes. There's corrosion on those now. I've cleaned off one. Guess which one I've cleaned off, and not the other. So that was part of the issue, I think, is just there's so much corrosion there. So I'm just going to do that other one as well, and I'm just going to hold it in a pair of pliers and stick it through my Scotch-Brite wheel out the back there, and hopefully it won't ping across the garage. So that's, stage 1. Stage 2, the bit that was the real issue was the fact that this button was stuck down. So actually I'm quite surprised. The spring's in good nick, so it just needs a decent clean out and then squeezing back together, I think. So I'm going to get on with that. Between all of that, I'll pick up Sprog from a club, or Youngest from a club, which means I'm going to get wet. Bummer. And it means I'm going to get soaking still outside doing a barbecue. What better way of celebrating Britishness? Right, and I'll jump back in and out throughout this. I haven't got anywhere with these. Putting the buckets back on. I have had some really good advice about, chucking a bit of grease on the collets as they go. And there's the one that I lost and then found again, still attached. So I haven't touched it at all. So I may well upload some of that and follow some excellent advice, i.e. not twatting the end of the stems, twat the buckets down just to secure it. Little hints and tips that I've picked up from you guys. Cheers, I'll catch you in a little bit. Right, and much later, not because this is difficult, tricky or fiddly or anything, it's just purely simply you've just been watching the Coronation of the King, and making a decision not to have a barbecue because it's chucking it down. We'll do it tomorrow. Coronation weekend, not Coronation Day. So a lot cleaner, cleaned out the guts in there. I now have a working mechanism, so it's connecting and breaking the connection between those 2 points. It's all it's doing, simplest thing in the world. Right, so I'm going to squeeze the top back on, roughly orientate the right way. I'm going to need 2 hands to do that. Get that screwed back on the bike. Oh, no, I can do it with 1. Get that bolted back on the bike, and we'll give it a test. But that's working. I chucked a bit of oil in there as well, just to give it a bit of lubrication. So I'll get that back on. Right, and there we go. 30-second job, just bolting that back on. That's the power on. You'll probably get a better view of this than I will. Brake on, brake off, brake on, brake off. Right, happy. So we're good at the front again. I have to give those a bit of a clean off as well. Back brake, that was the other one that was not playing. Charger's still attached. No. So I'm banging on the brake there. On the back brake, nothing. Right. See if I can grab my knee pads rather than get my knees wet. and see if we can just have a bit of a poke around with that. Right, so noting that when I tried it a second ago I didn't have that plugged in, so it was never going to work. It's difficult to show because it's in an awkward position, so it's probably better. Dangling there, that's the return spring for the actual brake itself, so I've just moved that off to the side. The brake, the light mechanism goes effectively there through, wired in, and it's a pull on a spring basically. Now I'm not sure if you're going to hear this in the rain, but I have released everything down here including the spring. It's just got grit in it, and I think that's what's causing the issues. So I'm just looking at whether or not I actually try and remove it to clean it, or try and clean it in situ. There's also a rubber bung, so I'm trying to mock this up. Yeah, so if that's the pulley, imagine a spring hanging off the end of that. That's effectively just pulling down to complete the circuit and do the turn the switch on. There's a rubber bung around, over the end of that to stop grit and shit going in. Now it's pulled down, so I think grip and shit's got underneath it. You can hear it. Not pleasant, so I think I'm going to try and undo it. I'm not sure. It's a really difficult thing to show because it's quite a confined space. But I'll tell you what, I'll get it out and then I'll show you. Right, this is reasonably difficult to get to. Not difficult, just tricky, I suppose. So I've just undone the bolts that hold on the peg and the hanger for the exhaust. Just whipped them off, and the master cylinder for the rear brake as well, just to give me a little bit of flex space, because it's a pain in the arse to get to. Just a plastic screw, being a little bit careful, unclippy. Right, so there we've got the mechanism itself. As I was saying, it feels like that should be doing a bit more hard yards because it's pulled all the way down, and yeah, I've just got schmeg behind that. So let me see if I can encourage this spring off so I can get the rubber off, which should mean that I can get behind it a bit better. Right, so it doesn't seem to matter which way around that goes, but don't kick it or lose it. Nah, you moron. Whip the rubber off. Yeah, it's just take that all the way down. It's just crappy. Right, I'm gonna go over to my my machine again, my Scotch-Brite wheel, that's what I was saying. Get rid of the worst of that and then just give it a damn good spray up on the inside, see if I can loosen it off a bit. Right then. Right, this brake sensor or brake switch is fucked because it's so gritted out that there's no spring in it at all, so the spring and the hook on the other side is pulling it out and trying to push it back. There's nothing to it at all. Now I could try and get the top off and just have a look, but I think it's a replace. It's about, I think about tenner. It's not an issue, but I don't think the spring in it has got anything left in it at all. But I'll see if I can get the top off and have a look. I don't think I've had a brief attempt, not a lot of joy, so I may end up just cutting it out of curiosity to see what's in it. Right, there we go. So I've just torn this apart basically to see what it is that it does. So effectively, by pulling, you're making and breaking that connection between those 2 points, which is fine. But actually, just looking at this, see why it's so fucked. And for one, it's minging, but actually, for two, that spring has sprung. Poet, and I don't know it. Now, I don't think I've got a spring that I can replace that with. I'm sure I haven't, and I've no idea how I'd get this back together. So I think that is a replace. But that's fine, isn't it? I'm trying to see if there's more spring in there, actually. Yeah, there's remains of the spring in there, so that's not only is that spring has broken completely in here, which would explain quite a lot. Yeah, a lot of crud and a broken spring. I might have a quick look to see if I've got a spring that I can replace it with, but I'll you know, this is replace territory, not repair. But I was really doing it out of interest to see what it's made of, as much as anything else. I'll have a quick look in the house, see if I've got anything. I've got worse things kicking around, but yeah, that spring, there's no return on that at all, which is precisely why it wasn't working, let's face it. Right, I'll have a quick look, and I need a pee. Right, the simple answer is no, of course I don't have anything. I did actually look at the mechanism on the XJ 650. I could probably pull it apart and nick a spring, or I could probably just wire that in, but frankly I'm not in a huge rush. I haven't got the stator. I'm not expecting it till towards the end of the week anyway, so I'm just going to order a replacement. But at least I know what it is, and I now know how one works, which is, you know, part of the reason I do take things apart in the first place. I say take apart. I did try and whip the top off that. It's a sealed unit. Couldn't get it off. But now I know how they work, or how that one doesn't work. Right, like the weather, I'm afraid a bit of a damp squiv on this one, ladies and jelly spoons. Front's fine, back. I don't actually know how long it's been like that. It's not really the sort of thing you notice yourself, but I'm just going to pull the back together before I lose bits, as much as anything else, and then wrap it up. I'm just about to pack up. And I thought, I'll run you through my thought process. I was just about to pack up. I put that back in and thought, oh, hang on, that's still springy with that half spring. Tried it, and that spring is not good enough. It's not strong enough. But then I had a thought. Of course I haven't got any springs, but I do have pens. It's not the same size, but fits. Now that, I don't want to drop that on the floor. Not that I'm ever going to use it, but that actually has some balls to it. Now obviously I'm going to buy a replacement, but I wonder if, try and hold that roughly straight, I wonder if that's enough. So I'm going to try and plastic weld that back together and see whether or not that will hold. I've got my little heat gun, so let's do this shit live, shall we, boys and girls? Watch me hurt myself live. Watch me try to repair something that doesn't merit it at all, and I will not be using on the road. But fuck it, let's see if I can fuck around a bit. Oh, camera's pissed. Even my camera is laughing at me. I don't actually, I'm probably better off, I'll chuck a couple of staples in it and then try and weld it. No, I'm trying to find the flat ones. That might do. All the other ones. Oh, they're probably better actually. Right. So There's my little plastic stapler. It's just a little staple in there. Little light comes on telling me, and you can see it getting hot up the top. This is about the most ridiculous thing I've tried. On a bike. One. I think I'll do 3. Try and get a third of the way round each time. Oh, come on, this is hard to do over the top of a camera. Pulled out a bit quick then. It's a middle-aged man thing. Right. That's it, basically held back together. I might just try and drip some plastic in the gaps as well. Right, I'm going to go and do this by the bin, because otherwise I just leave these prongs everywhere and they're going to go through a tyre. Right, so there we go. That is the brake switch on. I've weather sealed it with some electrician's tape. Good old bodge tape. 30 bodge it, and his former guys will be pleased. So you can see my rear light there. So on the lever and on the pedal. Would you believe it? It works. Biro fix. I'll order a replacement. And it will probably be here before that stator is. Yeah, that's not good to ride. But I've proved that I could do it. I now know how they work. I now know how to fix them. Be handy if you could take them apart to do it, rather than have to angle grind through the plastic. Right, that will do me. I'm out of playtime. A lot of this was just fucking around, really, because with today's events I haven't been able to dig in on what I want to do, which is the XJ, and remacing the surfaces and putting it back together. That's going to be tomorrow's fodder, I think. Next upload will be me, hopefully, trying to squeeze those halves back together. And I may try and get some of this done as well. And then we can start putting it back together. That'll do me. Cheers all. Catch you later. Ta-da.